Hi guys, I've just finished making a set of 4-inch extensions for my bike to push the forward controls out more forward, of course. I'll start by showing you the seating position on the bike. I'm 6 foot tall, so that'll give you an idea of what it looks like and what it would feel like. So this is it. For me it's quite comfortable, being the 4 inches forward. I did have a set of 2-inch ones. I put them on a 2002 model 800. I found even with 2 inches it wasn't quite as far forward as I would have liked. So I've gone ahead and made these ones for this bike at 4 inches, and I've been for a ride. I've just come back and they're really quite comfortable. I had to do a little bit of adjusting with the, especially with the gear lever, just to get it up to the right height, so it was easy to put in first gear plus get your foot under to change gears. I'll just start it up for a moment because I also at the same time I've debaffled it and just give you a listen to what that sounds like. The old girl certainly sounds a lot better than what she did. These pipes were fairly straightforward to debaffle. All I did with them was cut out the baffles, as you can see. With these pipes it was quite simple. They just cut around the plate with a jigsaw. All I did was drill one hole to start it and then cut my way around. When you get up near here, I think it was around this area here, it gets a bit tight for the jigsaw when you come both ways. So then I just used an older chisel that was fairly sharp and just took off the last little bit. Used a ballpoint hammer or ball peen hammer and just knocked the little edges back in so it all looks fairly tidy. So that was the debaffling exercise I went through. Now for the plate extensions. What I've done, of course, is use the original plates for kept the pegs and all the setup because of all the gear at the back, of course. And you don't want to be mucking around changing all that. But I used these plates to draw up the extension plates. As you can see, they extended quite a way for the 4 inches. The first problem and the biggest problem, of course, once you do that, is your brake cable. It's not going to be long enough. It comes up way short. So what I did was the guys who made up these plates for me, being the fact that I probably would have butchered them if I tried to make them up, I got them to cut off the old cable holder and weld in a 4-inch extension piece. Same gig with the brake. I don't even know what you call that, but what I did was get them to just measure the length of the old one plus add 4 inches. They made it up just by simply using one piece and bent it and then welded the other piece on. So it's not the factory sort of stuff is all one piece. This has been welded down through that line there. I'm just got I think what I'll do is drill a small hole through here, both sides, and just slip a split pin through it. Just so this can't come out at the moment, I've just got a bit of wire on there and wired it to hold it in so it won't jump out. So that's the brake side. It all looks fairly neat. The only thing I did find is I had to put a 10mm spacer in here. Otherwise you would have had the problem of this spring being over against this plate. So if I were to do it again, I'd probably cut these off and get one single piece and probably maybe not go 10mm, but maybe 8mm would have been sufficient. For the gear lever side, as you can see, same thing again, needed the spacers, particularly on this side. This would have been hard up against it otherwise. With the linkage, all I did there was get the guys at the same place to just cut a piece out and add a 4-inch piece in between. If I were to do this again, because you need quite a bit of adjustment to get it up to the right height, I would have probably asked for a 4.5-inch piece to be put in, because you can see that on the threads there that I have sort of gone to the maximum on both ends to get the gear lever up high enough. But apart from that, it all looks reasonably good and it all works perfect. Now if I were to do this again, I think I would start with the original plates and I'd move this this bolt back to here somewhere. If you look inside, there's a fair bit of room there. You could come back, bring your bolt back to here. You'd have to just make sure of your lever here. I'd probably also move the bottom one up a little bit, come close up to the linkage. Then you'd be able to cut off this here, get rid of some of this excess plate, which would then make you a smaller plate here. You'd still have your 4 inches forward, your 3 inches, 2 inches, whatever you wanted to do, but you'd start to eliminate all this big angle plate. It's particularly obvious on the brake side. So once again, like I said, if I was to do them again, I would move this back here, put it above the spring, and the bottom one, it's not too bad. It's, you know, one of those things, you don't want to see too much of the workings here, but by moving this back you'd be able to eliminate a lot of this pointed end here and make it a lot neater, and then you wouldn't have so much protruding out the front. Now I showed you the seating position, what it's like to sit on. That's all very good, very comfortable, but I did notice, as opposed to when they're in the original position, when you go around say a roundabout now, your heel will touch the road. So I suppose that's telling you, the upside of that is it lets you know when you're over a fair way, so you start to feel your heel touch the road. Well, you know, you can still go a bit further than that, you can still scrape the pegs, but you've got to bring your heel up, and at least it's I suppose it's a bit like an early warning sign for you. So all in all, that's very good. Oh, one other thing, I went to a place to buy some bolts. I wanted the original looking bolts, and they didn't have any. They only had a sort of big heavy bolt. They had black ones, but a similar bolt to this. Now they said that the bolts were a special thread and, you know, a rare thing to get, and they charged me $7 per bolt for them. I bought 8 at the time because I thought I'd replace all of these, but I couldn't use them because once you get back to here, going to the original thread, they were too long and they weren't threaded all the way up to the head. So I took them back and got my money back, and then I went to Super Cheap because I found some bolts in amongst my Kawasaki 900 stuff that screwed onto the original bolts. So they were a Super Cheap item, and I found the packet and went over there and looked through the bolts. Now what you've got to look for, because all these threads are the same, I found these ones here too the same. These bolts here aren't the ones in here, they're the ones I've just replaced up in here, and they're M8 by 125. You've got to look for that 125 because that's the thread. Then the rest is you know, by 50. That's just the length. M8's just the thickness. So on these ones here, these were M10 by 125 by I think this one's 40. I cut these ones down because they're too long. I couldn't get them short enough, but I just cut them down to make them look neater. I used the original bolts for the plates because when I had this plate made, I also had it threaded on these two holes because I didn't want that hole having a nut thing on the back of it and all that sort of stuff. I wanted it to look neat and tidy. The only thing I think I probably did, well I know I did wrong, was I rattle canned these suckers. Got some rattle canned primer, sprayed them up. While I was at it, I thought I'd respray these. Same gig, rattle can black, and of course every time you touch them the paint comes off. So if I would have had more time and I would have wasn't in such a rush to get them on and get to see what it was all like and ride the bike. I should have got them powder coated, but okay, down the track I may just do that. So anyway, there it is. If anyone was to want to do a similar thing to their bike, I have the diagrams for the plates to bolt onto the bike. If you want them, all you have to do is PM me and I'll send you copies of the diagrams for the plates. They're in, it's all actual size, all the measurements are actual size, so there's no adjusting. You don't have to make them bigger or smaller. That's the size they are. Anyway, that's it. I'm losing the light now. So thank you for watching, and I'll say goodbye.